past have waited longer than that. Political activism at this level, dealing with issues of this magnitude, is not easy. It generally doesn't happen quickly. Every once in a while, you'll see something happen really fast in terms of what we'll call social change. But this one is really tough because it's centered on a state issue, which is entrenched within a military intelligence complex that has developed a degree of secrecy, of scope and sophistication the world has never seen before. And so you talk about people trying to get in the United States over those little fences we have down there. Trying to get at this issue is trying to get into a part of the government where the fence is 1,000 feet high.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Tough.
I've been waiting, actually, from our counterpart, Russia, to come out and, announce that UFOs exist. I've just been, waiting just to see if he would, one, jump ahead of our government. But a friend of mine who, goes to Russia occasionally told me that, they're more open there. So if they have a sighting, it's on the news. Where here, if there's a sighting, it very seldom gets on any news.
Well, we have a lot of sightings get on the news here. It's more complicated than that. But a number of people within the Russian government and military and space have spoken openly about this. But then that's happened here as well. So it's complicated. But as you may or may not know, I went to Moscow on May the 3rd of last year and gave an interview to one of their national television networks, talked about disclosure, talked about the politics of it, talked about Vladimir Putin being the disclosure president. No one had ever done this before on Russian media, or certainly on Russian soil, or media, anywhere, and waited to see what would happen. That was why I did it. And I wasn't blocked. Bits of that interview were played on one of the Russian television shows there. 2 articles were written about my presence there and what I was talking about in Pravda.ru. And I eventually got the full English language video of it. The lesser quality video was sent to me. No consequences to me or the person that sent it. So it confirmed to me that Putin is not uncomfortable at all with the idea of being a disclosure president. He's chosen not to do it. And all of this was followed by the CIA. They know what I do. They certainly know I went to Russia. They know about this. And so, but I've been talking about this for years. That Putin could do it anytime he wants. You guys need to keep that in mind, unless he's on our payroll, unless he's working for the CIA. And what happens if he does? What happens? Where's the White House and the Pentagon the day after Vladimir Putin announces to the world there is an extraterrestrial presence and provides some pretty impressive evidence from within the Soviet military files and archives to back it up? Not that he needs to, because it's been proven many times over in the civilian domain. Where are they then? They're holding a bag. Their pants are down, they're holding a bag, and they got a potted plant on top of their head. It will be a disaster for them. And yet they roll that dice every single day, meaning, we don't want to rush this, could upset people, a little awkward, whatever. But Vlad won't do it. Vlad would never upset the United States. Vladimir Putin would never do anything to cause disruption here. I don't know what these people are thinking, Gary, but I keep talking to them. And in this case, I went to Moscow and talked to Moscow. So I had 6 meetings there with a number of former military and political figures. They were just meetings, get to knows. It couldn't do much. But I had them because I knew that the Kremlin would know I had them and the CIA would know I had them. So I mean, that's something I was able to do last year. And then I wrote about it when I came back. I actually put a press release out with a link to, and you can see this interview on my website. Go to paradigmresearchgroup.org. Go down to the interviews. You can actually see them in segments. I think I have the full enough in one segment. I'm not sure. I'll check on that. But it's, again, all this happened in 2017, May of 2017. The hurricane was already at Category 3 by then. South America could have completely sunk into the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. And it would have been a story for about a week. And then we'd have gotten back to the hurricane and this other stuff going on. South America's gone. What the hell? We move on. But what's the latest news about this political crisis we're in? And while we're going through this crisis, by the way, the world is moving on, building bridges, changing infrastructure, making economic arrangements, advancing their technology. The world is moving on while the United States bunkers in and hunkers down in the middle of this hurricane. Admittedly, the super rich are doing fine. They're always going to do fine. So they're kind of advancing. Stock market goes up. People get richer and richer, buy more houses, more yachts. But in terms of the country and where it's going and its potential vision and possibilities, it's all in the basement waiting for a 200-mile-an-hour wind hurricane to finally blow by. That's not good.
No, it's not. You know,
saying.
Sometimes I feel like, remember before World War II, we were pretty much an island. That's how, my dad always used to explain. He felt like the United States was an island. And they didn't have any reality what was going on other than in the United States. And I hate to say it, that's what's happening right now. I don't think people are realizing what's happening outside of our country. In what they do here, it's not enough really to, sway them with their feelings.
I've been outside the country a lot. I've been to 18 countries. I've got speaking tours in Australia and Europe a couple of times. I've been to Moscow. They're laughing at us, and they're concerned. It's kind of a. In one minute they're laughing at us, and the next minute they're concerned because they know how powerful we are, how important we are, and seeing where we're going is concerning to them. It's once said that if America gets the flu, a good deal of the rest of the world gets pneumonia. If America gets pneumonia, the rest of the world, or a lot of the world, gets the bubonic plague. They're concerned and amused. This is not the image, I think, that Americans would like to have with respect to the rest of the world. But keep in mind, the United States represents 5% of the world's population. And if we don't start showing some competence and some humility, some wisdom, some vision, and start looking at our policies, our children and grandchildren are going to have a rather very different lifestyle.
That's what I'm scared about right there. You nailed it right there. And I hate to say it, things have to change, and I don't see it happening, not in the near future.
Oh, change is coming, trust me.
Well, the type of change we're going to see.
Coming at us like a freight train. It'll be here pretty soon.
Well, it's going to be interesting politically here coming January.
Oh, yeah. No, a lot's going to happen between now and January. Profound things are going to happen between now and January. And then depending upon the decisions of the political leadership in Washington, not just the Republicans, particularly the Republicans, but also the Democrats, things could dramatically shift next year. Again, I've written about this in a white paper which is out now. It's on my website in the Disclosure Wire blog. People can go there and read it at their leisure. The title is The Disclosure Status Report, The Way Forward. And it's been put up on the web, it's been put up on Facebook, it's been put up on Twitter, all with the hashtag CaretakerGov. So hashtag CaretakerGov. So people can go and they can review some of these assessments and projections in greater detail.
Oh, wow. Boy, so we're hoping that, well, maybe we'll have a lot of different disclosures coming up in the near future. Politically, I don't know. I tell you one thing. I'm glad I'm not in office of any sort because I tell you, it's right now, politics, it just turns my stomach. It does. I'm sorry.
Look, take an antacid. All right.
Take a couple.
Go out and have a decent meal. Your stomach may settle down. In this election that we just had, as of January 3rd, more women will be in the Congress of the United States, House and Senate, than ever before. 126, 7, somewhere in that range. A 30% increase in 1 year or in one election. It will be the most diverse Congress in American history. There is one woman that was elected that will be the youngest woman in Congress, and she is, I don't know, in her 20s. This has been an extraordinary election in many ways, but women, people of different colors and cultures, as well as younger people, are starting to come into power, which is what's supposed to happen, by the way. Countries and nations, well, it used to be that, again, you had a kingdom and it was ruled by somebody until they died, and on occasion that would be a very long time, but often not that long because they always get killed by somebody, assassinated, whatever, or just really died because obviously people didn't live as long. But the idea that democracy is supposed to be ruled by people into their 90s, in their late 90s, ruling on concepts that they had learned 60 years before, is ridiculous. A vibrant democracy needs to have a constant influx of young people. Now, we've screwed up the education system so much in the United States that we may have reduced the pool of super high quality young candidates, but there's still plenty there. I mean, there's still plenty, believe me, to choose from. We've got a lot of people in this country. And so you're seeing that happen. And of course, the rise of women into power is probably without getting into the extraterrestrial issue, the rise of women into power in the West, because it's not the same around the world, but in the West, in Western democracies, is one of the most important events in all of human history, and long overdue. And the reason I say that is because for the last 10,000 years, matriarchal societies run almost exclusively by men have waged thousands of wars, killing hundreds and hundreds of millions of people, building worse and worse weapons until they finally built weapons that can destroy all of humanity. That's what men have done, going back 10,000 years. So, and women virtually didn't participate at all. You know, the odd female warrior would develop, but that was just a brief thing. And so women just don't have an interest in that, and now they're starting to take power. That's a potential salvation for us. Unfortunately, it's not happening fast enough, not nearly fast enough to avoid the calamities that are headed our way, which not the least of which is a nuclear war, which is now more likely, according to a number of top people, including the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, than it was during the Cold War, which is a rather extraordinary statement to make. They've moved the doomsday clock 3 times now, closer to midnight. I think it's at 2 minutes. I mean, it takes a lot of stupidity to do that, but we've done it. And so the rise of women is not fast enough, which is why the paradigm shift in which the human race learns that there's an extraterrestrial presence, the disclosure event, is absolutely essential to the changes that are needed to avoid the calamities that seem inevitable. And it is my view that the extraterrestrials turned up en masse and more openly in early 1947 for precisely that reason.
I agree. And yeah, boy, the hour just went by so fast. That's every time I have you on, I mean, you educate me more, and now I'm going to be contemplating almost everything you said here tonight when I go to bed. But you are so accurate on a lot of stuff. And I will say one thing, this new Congress, with this election, we have 7 new scientists, thank God. Because now, maybe with more scientists getting involved in Congress and our government, maybe they can kind of spread the word, what's going on, what we're doing to our planet. And the problem is, you hit the term when you talk about somebody 80 or 90 years old still, in government. I really feel strongly this country should set terms where you can only be a congressman or a senator so many terms, and that's it, because we need to get new blood, new thoughts, new ideas in. Yeah. And honestly, I hate to say it, corruption kind of sets in more too the longer somebody's sitting in their seat.
I've always been a little ambiguous about term limits, because what happens if you get extraordinary person